Hey, good evening, everybody. It is late, and I am just really getting my day started. I haven't done anything I'm supposed to be doing, but this is another edition of the Disrespected Fathers podcast. I'm actually not feeling well today. I don't like to be stressed out, and I don't like to be, not able to do what I want to do. I hate wasting a day. You know what I mean? I hate having my day wasted. So, with that being said, please remember to like, share, comment, uh, send it to your friends. I'm trying to start getting kids on here to tell their side of the story. So, if you have a kid that has been in words disrespectful that I'm starting to bring them on the show. We're back on StreamYard, so I need to start bringing these kids onto the show so we can talk to them, so I can show you guys how to deal with these type of things. Uh, we'll be talking a little bit about how to deal with toxic parents, and having said that, we'll go ahead and get started. Um, Dealing with toxic parents. How do you know you got one? If there is any indication of a toxic parent, you should know this right off the rip. Or if you don't know it, you just been you just been mind blinded by the fact that that you know their way is the right way. And I'm gonna tell you who I'm starting to see a lot of this in. Uh, but it's not relevant to what I'm talking about. But kids can get brainwashed, and they sponge off of what they think is right versus what they should know is the right thing. Because again, we talked about this all the time. Your parent ain't always right. Your parent ain't always right. I mean, I don't know if it's the way that people want to dumb stuff down or brainwash you out of logical thinking, but I see a lot of parents not raising their kids the right way. And to me, that's a toxic trait. To me, that's a toxic trait. I feel like if you're a kid that knows where you're going in life, if you're one of those kids that know where you're going in life, and you know you're doing the right thing, you know you're being common sense conscious, and you know that you are respectful in every way to adult figures and authority figures, you know for a fact what toxicity is when it comes to a parent. Like, for instance, you need to start setting boundaries and practicing boundaries with your parents. Say, for instance, your parents are doing unlawful things. I'm not saying that doing unlawful things, you can't raise a good child. You can't raise your child to be good, but this is what you parents that do this, and I was brought up this way. You put yourself in harm's way, and for you put your kids in harm's way, and for that, I was taken out of the home and replaced in a foster home, things of that nature. So you have to, you know, kids, you have to know these signs. Hey, this ain't right. This ain't right. I want to go somewhere where I'm able to. I want to be in somebody's care that's able to help me elevate to the next level in life. Setting boundaries. Hey, look, if the dad is not in the household or the mom is not in the household, I need to go with the parent that is going to give me peace. I need to go with the parent that's going to help me nurture my, you know, help me nurture myself in the right direction. I blame, yes, we can blame the government all we want to. We can. And to an extent, yeah, yeah. But here's what I see. We need to bring back two parent households. We have to bring back two parent households. We have to we have to find a way to stop, you know, poor hustling, because a lot of times we get these low income housing, and that's a, you know, that's a breeding ground for, you know, from what they see statistically as, you know, a breeding ground for toxicity, and a breeding ground for, you know, the way your life's going to start out. That's how they project it. So I said the two parent household thing to say this: everybody has to work. Mom and pop has to work to get you to a better spot in life. We shouldn't be going out here settling for, you know, low income housing now. We shouldn't be going out here settling. I know times is hard. Don't get me wrong. I know times is extremely hard, but we shouldn't be we shouldn't be settling after a year, year and a half, 2 years, or whatever it takes. We need to be gone. We definitely need to be gone. Excuse me, y'all. I'm trying to fix something right quick. Yeah, we definitely need to be gone. So we can say, hey, this and that and the third about uh my we don't get the fair chance, we don't get a fair shake. How much longer do you want your kids coming home and fighting, or coming home not having, you know, adequate, what's the word I'm looking for, adequate resources to a better, you know, to better learning, and to be able to be able to sleep at night better. You know, it bothers me. It bothers me that, you know, we don't want that for our kids. This is an example of a toxic parent. This is an example of a toxic parent. Hey, if you've been living in low income housing and Section 8, and I'm not talking bad about people that live on that, because I've never had it. I've never had it, but I've lived in project complexes for years, and, you know, and I'm not ashamed of where I come from. I love my hood. I love my hood, and I'm glad, you know, I came from that, because I've met great friends of that. Those are my brothers now, and some of our kids need that tough upbringing, but we don't need to be there too long. We don't need to be there too long. It's one of them situations to where, okay, I got enough out of it. I got enough out of it. So it's time to go put my kids in a better position. It's time to go put my kids in a better position. I'll say 2.5, 3 years tops. And we should be gone. Parents, you probably don't agree, but we, how are you going to grow when you are planted in government assistance all your life? I've known people that have lived in the projects for over 30 years, over 25 and 30 years, and no come up. And they're happy that way. When we were kids, okay, it was cool. It was cool. That was fine. But you've grown into an adult. Why are we still there? We let the government take the two-party household, the two-parent household out of the equation. And this is what we get. Kids being disrespectful to teachers. And that's one of the things I hate the most. I hate a child that is extremely, I won't say I hate a child, but I hate the fact that children are this just extremely disrespectful to teachers, the people that they have put in these positions to teach your kid how to learn and what to learn. But it's okay for these kids to go and talk crazy and jump out and pull up at teachers. Y'all don't pay these people enough. Parents, I'm talking to you. I'm talking about your moms that will quick to go jump in the teacher's face instead of straightening your child. I don't understand it. We can take our children to football practice. We can take our children to football practice and let the coach cuss them out. But we don't say nothing when your child goes and cusses out the teacher and disrespects the teacher, wants to fight the teacher. We don't say nothing, but we'll go defend our child on the teacher. This is bass-ackwards thinking. Excuse me. This is bass-ackwards thinking. I'm at a point to where, I don't want, you know, to deal with kids. And I run a youth foundation, and I can break any child from their ways. I can break any child from their ways, but I don't want to deal with kids that come in my program not wanting to learn, not willing to give it a shot. You this is that, I won't say wild kingdom mindset, this animal kingdom mindset. Like it feels untamed to me. Like I want to go into something else, the sign of a toxic parent. Uh, a lot of young black girls have this sense of loyalty to their mother, who has probably not been loyal to them, ego ridden. I don't feel like y'all should owe that sense of loyalty to them just because that's your mother. That's that's not how life works. That's not how life works. just because that's your mother doesn't mean everything she does should get a pass. I was just talking to a friend of mine about this, and she's uh almost 50, and uh her mother is like 80 something, and she's been keeping her mother afloat as far as keeping her houses and her properties together, and her son uh is married to a black woman, and the mother is sit at the dinner table and say stupid stuff like, you're not gonna breastfeed the baby, are you? Because you heard what they say about black women and breastfeeding, and stuff like that. And my friend, she couldn't handle that, and she went off on her mom. You don't say that. It's just because that's your mother, you don't get to say whatever out your mouth, and or say that, and you're supposed to be like, okay, it's just my mom. It's I give her a pass. She's old. No, that's not how that works. You owe them nothing. You owe them nothing at this point when they disrespect you. That's it. You can be faithful and loyal to them all you want. They will never return that favor. I'm sorry if that offended people. it's it's one of them situations to where something has to be said, because just because you're older and that's your parents, and if they haven't done right by you, what in the world does that, what in the world does that, why do I have to, oh, that's my mama, that's okay, at least that, that's my mama. So what? Mm, yeah, I don't get it. You're seeking approval at this point from your parents, or your parents, your toxic parent. You're seeking approval, and you're old enough to make your own decisions. You're old enough to start your own family. You're old enough to make, run rules in your house. I know you probably sit around the house missing them, because you're used to it. But a lot of people you have to break that spell. You just have to break that spell. Um, I forgot I got to do some shout outs too. I normally start the show off with that. Um, my first couple of shout outs is to my dude Eric and his lovely queen Keandra. Shout out to Eric and Keandra, and Miss Maya and Adrian. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all for coming through. Love you guys. And my boy Brian. Shout out to my boy Brian as well for coming through. I forgot to shout out earlier, but we won't do that again. We won't do that again. But yeah, a lot of young black women, young black ladies, you know, that you'll notice them, they'll hang around their mothers for a long time, for after, even after when they get older. Yeah, they tend to hang around their mothers. I see them as probably having a pretty decent relationship, over the years, and but I notice, there are a lot of young girls that seek help or seek refuge in an auntie that was probably young, just as young as them, and just because their mother didn't get along. Uh, we'll stop it right there, and we'll come back next week and finish up. This was kind of on the fly, but I had to put it out there. This has been the Disrespected Fathers podcast. We'll see you next week.